Hey guys, musicninjamat here, doing this on my iPhone again. I am currently very full of flu at the moment. Also, recently saw that Valkyrie has been added to the list of Disney Plus series, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, to the topic at hand, we're going to be doing 2 Spider-Man books today. There were 2 new Spider-Man series that started, and a third is actually starting soon, which is the Symbiote Spider-Man series. There will be spoilers for both books that I'm going to be speaking about, and I will put timestamps down below for everything I'm going to talk about. So first up, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man City at War. Now I must warn as well, this book has spoilers for the Spider-Man PS4 video game, because that's what it's based on. And because it's based off of the game, all the people that contributed towards the game and the story, obviously they heavily influenced this book and its story. So this is written by Dennis Hallam, with Michelle Bandini as the artist. So the plot, as I said, essentially it's a condensed version of the game with some new elements thrown in. So we go through the beats of seeing a struggling Peter Parker. He goes after Fisk, fights him, beats him. He goes to Otto's lab, who is his mentor of course in the game, and Otto's testing an early version of the mechanical arms, but they're not ready. We get to see Miles Morales talking with his dad, seeing what their relationship is like. They're sat in the car talking, and he drops Miles off and speeds away because he needs to go to a crime scene, and it's Spider-Man and the Shocker battling. We then have the moment of Otto finding Peter working on the spider suit, and he just goes, "You must be the designer of the suit for Spider-Man," and then Otto designs the white spider suit that is in the game. We then see the Demon Gang, and they're going after some documents, but the person currently with the documents is MJ, as she was doing some snooping around to get information for a story, and naturally Spider-Man comes to help her out. However, the Demon Gang are able to escape with the documents on Devil's Breath. And finally then, we see a bit of Aunt May's celebration party for all the hard work she's done at Feast, and we get the reveal that of course her boss, Mr. Lee, is Mr. Negative. So the art in this book, I would say it is spot on. I absolutely love the character designs. The suit looks absolutely gorgeous in this book. There's lots of detail put into the art. And yeah, when I look at the art in this book, I do automatically think of the game. So being, as I mentioned, the suit as an example of the art. The writing as well, absolutely spot on. I would say it's realistic in the way conversations flow, and there's an emphasis through some of Peter's dialogue. It shows him stressing and trying to balance life, but it maintains its fun throughout. And I love this version of Spider-Man. I love how Peter acts because he's just the right level of quippy, I think you'd call it. And when you're reading it, you realise some of the dialogue, of course, is similar to the dialogue in the game. Every character really is done justice in this, because it is Peter's interactions and relationships with people. That's the big hook of this story. For example, you have Aunt May saying, "Oh, you know, you smiled more when you were with MJ, and you'd make beautiful babies with that girl," and Peter's just getting very embarrassed. Also in this book, there's a teaser for apparently what's meant to be the biggest Venom event of all time that's coming out in the next few months. And at the very back, we get a behind the scenes look at some of the design choices for the game, and they promise that there will be more new content and story arcs within this series. Overall, I really enjoyed this book, but I did feel the events are very rushed because of how compressed they all are. In the game, there was a lot more time to build up events and characters. But the art, the writing, it's both solid, and I really can't wait to see what new things this series can bring. So now we are moving on to Spider-Man Life Story, issue 1, the 60s. So the idea behind this is it's what if Spider-Man aged in real time, I believe, starting of course with the 60s when he first debuted. It's written by Chip Zdarsky with Mark Bagley on pencils. So it's 1966, he's been Spider-Man for 4 years, and we jump straight in. We get like a quick page of origin, and it's classic Peter Parker trying to balance everything in his life. We find out he's in his last year of college, that's the time period we're in, and one of the big things, big themes of this story is the war that's going on. And Peter talks about him potentially signing up for the war. We get to see Harry and Peter's first time meeting Norman Osborn, and Peter feels a bit unsure about him. We get to see Peter and Gwen as lab partners, and the fact that Miles Warren really doesn't like Peter. We see him go to the Bugle and talk with Jonah and Betty, and his interaction with Jonah is just a classic Jonah going off on one. But the story kind of starts feeling like a day in the life of Peter Parker, which I don't mind at all. And throughout the story we see more superheroes like Iron Man helping out in the war, and Peter starts asking the question, because he has superpowers, does that mean he should help? We jump to seeing Flash Thompson's send-off before he goes to join the war, and Peter makes some very harsh comments towards him, and Gwen points out Flash might not come back. Are you sure that's how you want to leave things? And Peter and Flash have this amazing conversation where they talk about high school and how Flash has changed since then. And Flash says, I am going to do this because it's what Spider-Man would do. This is followed up by another intense scene of Norman Osborn. He stood by Peter at the bar at this party, and he basically says, I know who you are, and I've got this place rigged with pumpkin bombs. So the two leave and begin fighting. It's also around this time in the story we find out that Aunt May, her health isn't that great. So the two are fighting, and Norman makes it clear he wants Spider-Man to join him. Spider-Man wins the fight and saves Norman from the wreckage, and Norman has amnesia. We get yet another amazing scene where Spider-Man talks to Captain America about the war and what should he do. And Cap says, look, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna help. I want to do what's right. And he basically says, your heart can tell you what is right. And he praises Spider-Man for what he's already doing in New York. Peter ends up turning Norman in just on the off chance he becomes the Goblin again. Peter wants to keep people safe, and then he rushes off to go see Flash again before Flash's train leaves. But when he gets there, he's too late, and it looks like Peter and Gwen are going to get into an argument when she realises the Spider-Man suit underneath his clothes. It is then 1967, and we see Captain America actually fighting against some American soldiers, and he's actually protecting what looks like some innocent village people. So the art in this book, it's okay, it's nothing mind-blowing, but it's got all the awesome 60s designs but done in a more modern way. And the further I got into it, the more I did like the art. It's got really good character designs and it's very easy on the eye. So here's a little example of the art in this book. With the writing, I really liked it. It feels like a 60s era comic book in the way people speak and act, and it's a little cheesy, but in a good way. I loved Peter's first meeting with Norman. It's a classic moment. And what's interesting about this, if they're going to age him in real time, these classic moments will be a lot different as the series goes on. I loved seeing so many characters from Peter's history in this, and even though there was a lot going on, the book didn't feel overstuffed and the pace didn't feel off. I think it was cool that the war was actually a really big theme in this, and the questions it brought up about if superheroes should help out or not. The characters as well, all just written really well. For example, you have Norman Osborn and how he treats Harry and how he's kind of a dick to him. The scene with Peter and Flash talking, this has to be one of my favourite scenes in comic books. It's so emotionally driven, and it's amazing that it was Spider-Man that inspired Flash, because it makes Peter worry, am I the reason he's going to war? And I just think that's an interesting idea. I like as well how as soon as Spider-Man leaves the bar and starts fighting, the quips start. It's like a character switch. He becomes Spider-Man. And there's a moment where he's looking at Norman in the wreckage and he thinks, that guy knows who I am. Maybe I should just leave him there. And straight away is like, no, I can't do that. I really like his talk with Cap, mainly because it highlights why I love Captain America so much, because he always has the answers and he always has advice, and he always does the right thing. And yeah, next issue is going to be covering the 70s, so that should be cool. Overall, this book had some incredible scenes, especially the interactions with Flash and Cap. I think it was well written and well structured. As I said already, I really like how it fit under one theme, and I like how it was accessible to slightly newer fans and to older fans as well. Certain things are happening for the first time and certain things are already established, kind of like in the Spider-Man game. Anyway guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. Check out the links in the description down below. Check out the whole channel, especially the playlists, and I will see all of you in the next one.